A wise man once said the beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. I choose to not just understand the beer that I drink, but to understand the passion that it takes to create it. This is Geeks on Tap. Welcome to Geeks on Tap. This is Jaret, and today we have a special guest named Pat King. He does a lot of stunts. He's done stunt work in the past. We're going to dive into that a little more today. Pat, thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate
thank
it.
you for having me.
Let's go ahead and talk about the beers that we have today. You have a local favorite, which is Live Oak's Pilz. I see.
Yeah, I have Live Oak Pilz. I actually just tried this for the first time maybe like 2 weeks ago. I'm a big fan of Pilsners. And whenever I'm out, they have the Live Oak, I think Hefeweizen. And then I finally saw this out at, and picked it up. It's great. I love it. It's really good.
Yeah, it's a good light beer. I'm a big fan of their Hefeweizen. I'm a big fan of Hefeweizens in general. That's one of my favorite light beers that I like to drink. I'm mainly a stout guy and a porter guy.
Okay, I'm kind of on the opposite spectrum. I enjoy a good stout and porter, but like once every while, they're just too heavy for me at this point.
Yeah, no, I understand, and that's a lot of people's problems with stouts and pilsner or stouts and porters is that they can be kind of heavy for a lot of people. So I get where you're coming from. So I just talk about mine's kind of a lighter beer. Actually, this is what we call a white stout. It's from it's actually Dragon's Milk, which it's actually usually it's stouts. If you know who that is, that's from New Holland Brewery, and it's called a white stout. It's a 6%er. It's actually pretty moderate, and it just tastes like a little bit more of a flavor to a regular lighter beer, basically.
I've seen the normal. I've seen the black one, the regular one. I've never seen the white stout.
Yeah. So it kind of goes down. This is one of the beers that it reminds me of, and I don't even know if they make it anymore. It's actually Samuel Adams Cherry Wheat. I don't know if you ever had that one.
Ooh, I have. Yeah, I've had that.
Yeah. It was one of my favorite early beers that I ever had that I loved like forever. And I don't think they even make them anymore.
I was gonna say I don't think I've seen it in a long time, but that was definitely a good one.
Yeah. So it has that kind of like, if you like that like tart cherry flavor, this is definitely a beer to try. I would recommend.
Are we cracking? All right.
Might as well.
Cool. Well, cheers, my friend. Yep. Cheers to you.
Let's get more water here.
I'm gonna throw it into the glass here.
We went out hunting for water today. And like I found all these, like I was like, oh, look at this beer, and I'm like, I gotta find water. I can't look at beer.
Yeah, I just still didn't want to venture out. I'm gonna give it a couple more days, but I was gonna venture out and try to see what I can grab. But I had this in the fridge, and I'm like, you know what, this is gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly fine. One thing that I did find, it was actually at Walmart. The Black is Beautiful from the original brewery, which is, what was it? Weather. Oh my gosh, sorry. Anyways, it's from the original brewery that started Black is Beautiful, and they had like an end cap for like $10 for two of them.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And they're like a tall boys, so they're pretty big.
Yeah.
So I would.
Not bad. Cool.
Yeah, if you're ever near a Walmart, definitely check it out. And I'm sure
I'll check it out.
Carrying it everywhere. But yeah.
Nice.
Actually, Weather Souls Company. There we go.
Weather Souls.
Souls.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So just wanted to name check that there. So, but yeah.
I'll check it.
Mm-hmm. So, Pat, I've known you for quite a while. I first met you back at BAM Academy when you used to come in there. You were on a show that I used to podcast called The Drunken Animals back in like the mid 2010s. And that's where I first hung out with you and got to know about you. And what's great is that you're a big Marvel Comics fan, correct?
Pretty huge. Yeah. Big Marvel fan.
Yeah. What was the first time that you became a big fan of Marvel in general?
It's I don't really know if I could pinpoint the exact time where I fell in love, but I just always remember growing up, and I grew up in a time where the old animated series were out as well. So I kind of got hit in both directions, and even like the old school video games, I kind of got hit from every direction with superheroes at Marvel.
Mhm.
I know I was super into the comic books growing up. I would just read as much as I could. And I really attribute, like all of my reading other than school assignments was comic
Mhm.
books. I just read consistently. And I really credit that to like A, me learning how to read, B,
Yeah.
developing like my creativity and imagination. But I think it was a combination of, getting hit in one direction from the comics, another
Mhm.
direction from, the old school Spider-Man cartoon and X-Men the
Right.
animated series. And
Yeah.
then once video games came in there too, I was just so drawn to Marvel.
Yeah. I grew up a DC kid. I'm going to be full disclosure. I
Yeah,
grew I grew up a
I
big
did
Batman.
too.
Yeah.
There's nothing against DC, and I grew up reading
Mhm.
Batman and Flash and all that stuff too. I was so
Yeah.
heavy on the Marvel stuff. I have nothing against DC whatsoever.
Yeah. So a little bit about my comic history is I first became a comics fan whenever I saw Batman 89 in
Okay.
theaters.
Okay.
And a little bit before that, that's when they started re-airing the 60s show as
Yeah.
well
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Yep.
syndication. And then of course the Tim Burton Batman just came out, and then Batman the animated series just kind of
Yep.
snowballed from there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely a big fan of those comics and that
Yeah.
character.
Love them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was definitely a huge Batman fan growing up as well.
I think anybody our age was probably a big uh fan of that. So
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Like we grew up at a time where, so I just talked about all the Marvel stuff.
yeah.
You got like Batman, you got hit with the comics, the movie, the animated
Mhm.
series, the video games, like all at once. It was like right in your face.
Yeah, and then I think I really did start to follow Marvel until the movies started coming out with Blade, and then with X-Men, and then obviously
Yeah.
Spider-Man, and that's where I became a
Right.
fan of Spider-Man, the
Cool.
character.
Yeah.
And that kind of hitting on X-Men, actually, that's going to give us our next point. You play Wolverine actually in the Marvel Live stunt show, or you used
Yeah.
to. I don't know if you're still doing it, but
No.
yeah,
So what? So yeah. Marvel and Feld Entertainment came out with a live stunt show, a live touring stunt show that went around all around the country, and then it went all over Europe.
wow.
And I was on that show for the European tour. I spent about 6 months traveling Europe with that show, playing Wolverine. And after the European tour is when that script, those characters ended.
Mhm.
And then they started their second show with brand new characters. Because we went from, our show was Avengers.
Mhm.
You had Iron Man, you had Black Widow, you had Captain Marvel, Captain America, Hawkeye. Then you had some of the X-Men. So it was Storm, Cyclops, and Wolverine. And after that show ended was when they were gearing up for like phase 2 or 3 of Marvel. So that next
Mhm.
show was Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange and like
Mhm.
Black Panther. So yeah. So I had 8 months on that show, touring Europe, playing Wolverine. It was like such a dream job.
That's amazing. I mean, how many? I mean, are you? I mean, I know this is not like screen technical, but are you like the other live action Wolverine besides Hugh Jackman?
Man, like, okay, I don't know. I mean, like, because there were a few of us, before my time in that show. There were a couple other actors and stunt performers that played Wolverine.
Mhm.
But like, as far as playing Wolverine in, an official performance,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna 100%.
you're
I'm
gonna
gonna say
claim it.
yes. I don't know if it counts, but I will say yes.
Yeah. Wow, that's
What's
great.
really interesting is, and I just want to touch on it real quickly.
Mhm.
I just got into voiceover work,
Nice.
and so I'm taking a master class with the guy who has voiced Wolverine
Really?
for since X-Men, Wolverine and the X-Men, so probably 10 years or so.
That's still cool.
And I just found out that, like, in doing this class, he was the guy who voiced Wolverine for our show. So I was mouthing his words the whole time. His name is Steve Bloom.
Nice.
His name is Steve Bloom, super well-known voiceover artist. But I'm like, if I'm going to learn voiceover, I'm going to go to that guy. And I signed up for his class, and I've been taking classes with him.
Has he done? I know you may not know a lot of his work, but has he done anything besides Wolverine? Like any other noticeable?
So he has
roles?
he has the record. He has the record for doing the most characters in video games. He's in every video game you can imagine. He was in Digimon. He was in Yu-Gi-Oh. He's in a ton of anime. He's literally in everything. His name is Steve Bloom. You can check him out on IMDb. His list just goes way down. But long story short, got to play Wolverine in a live setting. Got to run around, jump around, and slash the bad guys. It was honestly just such a dream job.
That's really cool, man. I'm really glad you're able to get that chance to do that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I know we kind of getting a little Marvel here, but you do this great series on I think it's just on Facebook, but where you have your parents watch the Marvel movies and then you create the Marvel. I don't know if are you creating the Marvel cocktails, or are you just doing like from recipes?
It's a little bit of both. So what I did was during the quarantine, I was on tour again with a different show. I was on tour with Jurassic World Live, doing the same thing as Marvel did. And we all got shipped home because of COVID. And I spent 7 months with my parents and my brother, just making sure we were all kind of doing that together and quarantining. And I realized that my parents have never seen the Marvel movies. So I took them from movie number 1 all the way to Endgame. And, maybe like two movies in, I decided that I was going to craft different cocktails, like themed cocktails for each movie. So some of them I created on my own. Some of them I pulled from recipes or thought was looking up something cool to make. And I would give each drink a character or a theme. And I'd make like 5 or 6 cocktails for each movie. So that's kind of how we spent our quarantine, is just kind of, having our family bonding time and watching Marvel movies.
That's great. I remember my dad doesn't really watch a lot of pop culture stuff. And when Endgame was coming, I think it was either Endgame or Infinity War, he was like, I think I want to go see that Endgame movie. And I'm like, have you seen any of the other ones? Like, no. And I'm like, you're going to be really lost. Trust me.
Right. It's a hard one to start with. You got to have a little bit of backstory.
Who's that guy?
That's how my mom started. Because like we started with, I think, Iron Man and Captain America. We started with the 3 first movies, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. Yeah. And she was like, well, who's that? I was like, we're literally starting from scratch. You just have to pay attention. It's like, that's it. But starting with Endgame would be a challenge.
You just came back to Austin. How long you were away? Obviously, you're probably touring, right? Correct?
We were. Yeah, we were. So I was on tour with Jurassic World. We actually started rehearsing last July. So we went from July and then started shows in September. And then from September to March, we were doing shows all around the country. And then obviously we shut down because of COVID. But I moved to Austin in the end of 2014. And it was pretty much right after I moved that I started stunt training. Trying to build that and put that on my resume. And from I guess 2016 till now, it's been either touring or just moving and just going where the work is. I'm a full-time performer. So, I'm very happy to be back in Austin because there is work here and there's going to be work here. And this has always been one of my favorite places. I always said if I could live here and do what I want to do, I'll do it. So I'm glad an opportunity came up and I was able to move back.
That's great, man. So how did you get into stunt work?
I went to school for theater. So I graduated with a theater degree. And then after college, I started gravitating towards film and TV. So I've been an actor and I've been acting for quite some time. And I've always kind of been interested in how stunt work works. And when I started training in stunt work, I thought I was just going to add it to my acting resume. I thought it was going to be just something interesting to put on my acting resume. I didn't know they were 2 very separate careers. A lot of actors don't want to do their stunts. A lot of stunt guys who are just stunt guys don't want to act at all. Yeah. And I kind of hit a really good cross section of being able to do both. And that's what they call right now it's what people call an action actor. So you can do
wow.
both. You can be that guy in, motion capture or films or stuff like that. So when I moved to Austin, I just kind of looked up who was training, where they were training. And that's where, that's why I got to BAM and started training with everyone there.
Yeah.
And then I got really fortunate. I met a guy who's been in the business for a long time, and he kind of took me under his wing and started teaching me, the business and how to really train in stunt work to make it a career. And pretty much at the end of my training with him is when I booked Marvel. So I've been doing, I've been a full-time actor, stuntman. 2 years ago, I got into doing motion capture for video games, and all that stuff is, I'm an actor and a stuntman, and I'm using pretty much every direction that I can and every facet of the entertainment business to do what I love. I just got into voiceover work because that's performing. I just love performing.
That's great, man. Yeah, I mean, you're that kind of rare kind of breed where you do both stunt work and do acting. So that's very interesting. A lot of stunt workers don't do that acting, or some actors are insistent that they do their own stunts, like Tom Cruise. So
right. It's very rare. I mean, like if you're Tom Cruise, you have a little bit of leeway to pull. When you're somebody a little lesser of an actor, because it's all insurance, they're not going to let you do all your stunts. They got to get somebody to come in and do it for you.
I've been asking people when they come on the show, WandaVision is pretty big. Have you watched the latest episode?
I have. I like first thing in the morning. I did it today. I try to catch it. I try to catch it early on the Fridays because, as good as social media is, I don't want it to be spoiled.
Yeah.
Loving it. I'd love to hear your thoughts too. I mean, I think they're just doing, everyone kind of ragged on the first 2 episodes. I get it.
Yeah.
I also if you stopped watching because of the first 2 episodes, you really are doing it a disservice.
Yeah.
Because it went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah. So I love the first 2 episodes because I'm a TV junkie since I was a kid. So I used to watch those old Lucy and Dick Van Dyke shows when I was a kid. Nick at Night was the thing I used to watch late at night.
Yeah, same.
So for me, I was like, oh, there's that reference, and oh, there's that. It's from that show. And the one today where they did the one with they revealed who is pulling the strings. I'll just say that for those who haven't watched it yet. They do a Munsters cover.
It was great. I mean, they're here's what I'm saying to everybody who's iffy on WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
If you watched all the stuff before, you have to understand that this is the first thing in this new phase of Marvel movies, right? This new phase of whatever Marvel is going to do cinematically. This is the first little bit.
Yeah.
It's going to be super important. And not only they're just jamming and cramming all these Easter eggs and all these theories and all these people, it's such an important show to watch. I understand if it's not your cup of tea, but get through those first 2 episodes and you're going to be very, very happy.
Yeah, I think the internet blew up with Evan Peters coming on as
it's great
Quicksilver, but we don't even know who he is at this point. It's still iffy.
That's the best thing. That's the best thing is there are now so many theories out there, and there really is an infinite number of possibilities because let's be honest, Marvel can do whatever they want. You can do whatever you want. You can bring back people. You can introduce new people. You can have a reason for doing anything. So all bets are off. You can do whatever you want, and they're doing it really well.
So a lot of people have been theorizing that it's Mephisto who's pulling the strings. Do you think that card's still on the table now that we know that who is more likely pulling the strings at this point?
Yeah, because so here's what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
I'll just say this. For we thought Wanda was pulling the strings, right?
Yeah.
And now we get removed, and now it's somebody else pulling the strings, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what if there's somebody behind them and somebody behind them? And you never know,
Right.
I would love. I mean, it would be great for them to introduce that character. I think Doctor Strange in the multiverse is going to open up a ton of doors.
Oh yeah.
Spider-Man is going to open up a ton of doors. You know, like I said, all bets are off. Marvel can do whatever they want, and I think they're going I think they're starting off really strong, and they're going in the right direction. I'm hooked. Yeah. I'm hooked.
Oh yeah, I've been hooked since like I said, episode 1. So I'm not going anywhere. It's really cool how they can kind of weave their own story now. They can really, like, now that they have X-Men, they can start going into that world. Fantastic Four, they've already announced that movie, so they really could go into any place they want, regardless what's going on. So that's,
it's kind of great that they've got back all of the characters they couldn't use. It's great now that they can introduce them any way they want. They can bring them in anytime they want. You know, like what got me really excited was, like, you know, people were saying that, like, and I think even Kevin Feige or Marvel said that, like, you guys don't hold your breath. Okay. The X-Men, probably not for a long time. Mutants, probably not for a long time. What, like, my theory is, like, what if they're just going to drop it, boom, right in the beginning, right now? You know, like, what a mind F that would be.
I was talking to our mutual friend Jacob Gavon, and he was talking about how he actually knew it, like, right off the top. He's like, oh, it's Harkness. I already know who she is because he reads the comics. Right. So,
well, that's the thing. I mean, they're pulling a lot from a couple different, you know, comic storylines. So, like, yeah, if you read those comics growing up, it's pretty likely that they're going to try to follow that storyline, but then throw in a couple different twists, so it's still new to you. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be really weird to just follow the comic storylines, because now anybody who's read the comics is like, well, that wasn't a surprise. But Marvel's really good at taking that story as a whole and then throwing in a couple of twists, which is great.
Yeah, I thought it was really well done. Even though I kind of saw it coming, to be honest.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Sometimes you have to see things coming. You can't just be like throwing curveballs every 5 seconds. But
right. Okay, so what's been the favorite beer you've had so far? Okay. And I guess, like, what do you enjoy talking about the most when it comes to just chatting?
So it really depends on the category of beer. What is my favorite that I've had? Of course, I'm really partial to stouts. We've already established that.
Yeah.
I love the Temptress is my favorite, probably all-time beer, which is out of Dallas, Texas, Lakewood Brewing up there. And they have different variations. So they have, like, you know, a salted caramel. They've got a mole I had actually at one of the Texas Craft Brewers festivals that they had a couple years ago. And that was amazing. So they do a lot of different stuff. Now, I would say there's 2 breweries that I really think really do a lot of interesting beers. One being, obviously, 903, which is what we both love. Yeah. And then also some crazy stuff. Yeah, and then also Martin House is another one that and they're from DFW, and is one that I love as well.
Okay. So. Yeah, I look, you know, when I hit up HEB, I usually grab a couple of the single serving beers that I've never tried before. So I always like trying something new. Yeah. And like a month or 2 ago, I stumbled upon a 903. It was like Stay Puffed. And it was just so interesting. Yeah. I looked up, you know, what the other beers they had, and they just had, like, you know, the one I had last weekend had like 9 different flavors in it. And I was like, are you doing too much, or is this actually going to be? And it was really good. It's just it's very interesting, you know? Yeah. That's they're also quite expensive.
Yeah. I mean, they can be, but I've never been disappointed by one of their beers.
That's fair. Yeah.
I've been disappointed by other ones, but not their beers. So.
That's fair.
Yeah. And then Martin House, they have a Banana Foster beer.
Nice. Okay.
Now I will let you know, if you like artificial banana flavoring, that's great. But if you don't, you may not like it as much, because it's very heavy on the artificial. It's like a banana popsicle, basically.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
So yeah.
Nice. I have the Marvel trading cards if you want to see those.
Yes,
real quick.
let's talk about those. Yes, the Marvel trading cards you brought on the show. Let's see what those are.
Just because I'm super excited, and today was a big day because they dropped another kind of bomb. And so what happened is every 2 years Marvel puts out now a trading card series, and they're called Marvel Masterpieces, and they date back to the 90s. They were really big, and they just kind of came back into pop culture. So 2020 they came out with their new series, and I got to model and pose for 28 characters out of that series. The artist contacted me. The artist was actually a friend of mine who I had met 7 years ago.
Wow.
I had no idea he was an artist. And he was like, "Hey man, I'm working on a thing. You need to be involved." And I was like, "Okay." Nice. So long story short, he's the artist. He did all of the cards, and I got to pose for a lot of my favorite characters, like
nice
Wolverine.
Nice.
And I mean, like, this is kind of the most me card as the Punisher. But yeah, I've just got, I mean, like, some of my favorites here. We've got Deadpool right there. Nice. Oh my God, I'm going that way. Deadpool, Green Goblin.
Oh, wow.
And then just like, it was an honor to do Captain America.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But all these cards started as full-size paintings. So we did full-size paintings of all these cards, and then they got turned into the trading cards. So that was something like that brought me back to being a kid.
Yeah.
And collecting all of the Marvel cards as a kid. Just a huge honor to be a part of that series. It's just, I mean, super awesome.
That's amazing. I don't even really know what to say about that. That's really great. That's really cool.
Yeah, man. It was just kind of a dream job. I didn't know was a job that I could have.
It pays to have connections, man. I will say that. It pays to know people.
Yeah. Well, we met. He was he's a very good photographer as well, and we met on a photo shoot. I'll say 2015, 2016, maybe. And I only knew him as a photographer, and we kept in touch on Facebook.
Yeah.
He then saw through Facebook I was doing the stunts. I was doing Marvel. I was a huge Marvel fan. So when this opportunity came along, he's like, you need to be involved. So yeah, nice. Super awesome. Super very cool.
That's great, man. I'm really happy for you. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on and then being able to talk about this stuff. It's pretty fun.
When are those already out, or are they coming out soon?
They're already out. So yeah, these came out in September. It's Marvel Masterpieces 2020.
Nice. Did you want to talk? Do you have anything you want to promote that's coming up soon, or can you even talk about these things?
You know what? The stuff I'm working on now, I can't.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I don't have anything to promote. And as far as we know it, we don't know if Jurassic World Live Tour is, we're on hold. We don't know. Yeah. I got into streaming. I got into doing Twitch, so I'm always on Twitch. Okay. You can check me out. It's Marvel Stunts on Twitch.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of all I got at the moment.
Yeah. I still haven't figured out Twitch. I don't know how to go live to do this,
It's fairly easy. It's really not as hard as it seems to be, but it's I've been doing it for probably 2 months now, and it's just I started doing it to kill the time, and then it's just it's taken off from there, which is pretty cool.
Now, do you just what do you do on that? Do you just talk to people, or do you?
So it's during the week I play video games.
Okay.
On Saturday I do a workout stream, so you guys can see my workout. And then on Sunday, it's usually something random. During the week, it's video games. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because Twitch is known for being a gaming channel or gaming platform. Yeah. So I didn't know if you did a certain type of thing, or if you did gaming, or
You know what? It kind of when I started, I think now it's now just a streaming service. Okay. They're very known for their games, but there's all these different sections where it could be just this of us chatting. It could be a home workout. They have a whole fitness section.
Oh, okay.
Food and beverage, stuff like that. So there's a wide variety of things you can do on Twitch.
I'll have to take a look into that.
You should check it out, because it'd be great for this stuff. Yeah,
definitely. All right. Well, you said that's pretty much what you have to promote. That's okay, man. But
that's pretty much all I got.
I mean, the good thing is you have things that you have to talk about later. And
yes,
these are
I do.
I mean, if you can't, like, put it this way, if you can't talk about it, they're big deals and they're good things. So that's a good thing to know about. So
yeah, I like having those where I'm like, yes, I will have stuff to talk about. And that's what this year is looking like. Big things, which is really cool. I'm really thankful and grateful.
Just wanted to say, everybody, that this has been Jaret for Geeks on Tap, and thank you, Pat King, for being on the show. And until next time, your next beer is on us. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.